Hello, my name is Monica Kretschmer. I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Woman of Inspiration Awards, and this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast, where we speak with women who lead, inspire, motivate. This is a special series for 2024. It's Where Are You Now as we celebrate our 10th year. And today I have with me a badass entrepreneur. Suzie, your name is really about disrupting the status quo. Suzie is the founder and board member of Love Good Fats. She's also the co-founder of Better For You Chocolates, and we'll get into that about the where you are now. Suzie is a mom of four. She's an 11-time Ironman competitor, and you have spent the past 20 years in the CPG industry, building brands, and you stepped into this zone, building your own brand that you launched at 50, which is Love Good Fats. Now, what's so incredible is that this brand, in a little of 3 years, has exceeded over how many $1 million? They say three. Is it 3 million?
Yeah,
A little over
100 million over 36 months. So it was hyper growth, like we smashed 30-year-old records in Canada for growth, for rapid growth.
So rewind. I mean, it was a big number. And like I said, 3 million. I think you hit the 3 million mark in the first month. I don't know, like
No, we hit the 1 million mark in I think 8 months, and then we had 1 million a month, like a few months after that, and then 7 million a month. So basically, year 2 was 47 million. It's pretty unbelievable. So by year 3, we had cumulative 100 million, which is also unheard of.
And you were also a Woman of Inspiration Award recipient. You're in our Woman of Inspiration, Woman Driving Change book. So you are definitely out there. You've got such a story to share. And I know that when I was reading your bio, you'd said at a very young age, one day, Mom, I am going to have my own brand. So Suzie, let's start there. And for the listeners that don't know about your story, why don't we tell them a little bit about your story, where you began, of that vision when you were just a youngster about saying, one day I'm going to have my own brand, and poof, here we are today.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'm in my 50s, so like childhood back then was quite different. My twin and I, my brother and I were adopted at a very young age into a French Canadian family, but I have an English name. That's my dad, but it was mostly a French Canadian family. I was nerdy. I'm a little bit on the spectrum, is what I've realized. I'm lesbian, which I didn't know until my mid-30s, which is kind of connected to these kind of things, are all a little bit connected. I now kind of come to realize, and my brain works quite different than maybe the average brain. I'm certainly an engineer. I went through that program, and I live in my head, and I compute numbers quite quickly and rapidly, and my brain works 100 miles an hour. But I also have this kind of like this angle with kind of seeing things when it gets to consumer insights and connecting dots and seeing kind of big stuff that you often need to be in business or to be a brand builder. So I stumbled onto the job at Procter & Gamble as an assistant brand manager, because I graduated engineering. I had all these engineering jobs, and I was like, well, no, like I think I want to go work in packaged goods. So they sneaked me in. I worked on adult diapers because I kind of came into the process later. So I was this, electrical engineer honor roll, taking a job wearing adult diapers during the day to test them out. Like my dad was just like, this is crazy. But I wind up making the best decision for me. And that's why I've stayed like nearly 30 years in building brands, packaged goods. It like for me, for everything, that the way I kind of work was perfect. And I didn't know. I just knew at age 10 and then 15, I was reading a lot of inspiring books and novels and whatever was available then. I was like, Mom, one day I'll have my own company. But I got a big job out of university. I grew up poor. I shared a bedroom with my mom for 13 years. So now suddenly I had job security and I had income. I still had, student debts. And there was like a reason to the path. I stayed in 5 multinationals. I'm an intrapreneur, so I would get, fix the problem. I would be asked to join a company that had a declining brand, Doritos, or a brand that's never not been launched yet, Tostitos, or a 10-year decline on Heinz ketchup, 10-year decline on Weight Watchers, big, big, big brands that had just been declining for 10 years. So I would get the phone call from the recruiter and say, help, we need a tier 1 marketer. And I'm a change agent, right? Like back then it was like, oh, I don't know if you want to say that, but that was me. Like, you have a problem here. I kind of show up and I have my briefcase and, let me put the modules and the path in place to figure out how to finally turn around this brand that's been declining for 10 years or 2 years, or to launch new brands. And I love it. I'm a problem solver. I'm an engineer at heart, even though I can't change a light bulb all that well. And it was just perfect for me because I learned two things: the disciplined way to build brand, to have sustainable competitive advantages, and be able to make profit and have ROI on your innovation. So the basics of consumer packaged goods. But I also, learn executive maturity. So I was in 5 different big cultures. They all had, the curves of things are going well, and, half the company leaves, it's not going well, and then it's going well again. I think I had 10 different bosses at Weight Watchers in the first 3 years. In P&G, I think I had 27 by the time, in the 6 years, astronomical numbers. So, but what that leads you to have, which I hope to instill on the younger generation, is a tolerance and embracing diversity in styles, diversity in cultures, diversity in how you think. It's easy in your first job, second job to think, oh, your boss, is not the great boss. But I really learned there's different ways, tous les chemins mènent à Rome. There's different ways to get to where you need to get. So I kind of did that. And then I realized by my last role, I'm really an operator. So I started, I left my last kind of big job to go to an entrepreneurial startup. And then after that, I said, okay, I'm just doing consulting. So I was doing fractional CMO before you even saw the term on LinkedIn, right? I was just called part-time VP of marketing. It was called. I had 4 kind of permanent contracts, and then I had in and out a whole bunch. Probably worked with 20 different brands, all in the natural space. And that's when I realized, well, wait a minute, right? I've had these self-imposed excuses. I don't have money. I don't have an idea. I don't have time. And now I'm working full-time, more than full-time, because I have all these contracts with CEOs. And I'm like, I can do that. I'm, doing the strategic plan, doing the innovation plan, the marketing plan, the sale. In most of the roles, I was also playing a big role on the sales side, and the retailers living and breathing natural space, Natural Product Expo, CHFA. So now I'm like, okay, I read a book, Big Fat Surprise, Nina Teicholz, and I'm like, heck, I can do this. So then I started, while I was shopping around for new contracts, many fractional folks do. Then I was like, oh, by the way, I'd love to also pitch you my brand. I had this little PowerPoint, nothing sexy, not colors or anything, little basic packaging and, boring words. They were good words, but it was still nothing like nothing like the pitch decks you see today when startups kind of present their pitch decks. But the idea was so good. So it was Susie's Good Fats, and it was, I want to launch, my mission is to get the word out that fats can be good and sugar is evil. And that one study in 1966 was misread. The guy since recanted it, his son recanted it. Fats can be good. There is no need for the 40 years of misinformation. And now we're all trying to correct those wrongs so that we can enjoy essential fatty acids, enjoy proteins. And for me, I eliminated sugar nearly entirely from my diet. So everything's changed for me. My taste buds, I don't even want, chocolate bars or anything. I used to inhale. I used to do 3-hour bike rides so I could have the caramel, right? The over the top sweet decadent caramel brownies, chocolate chip cookies, etc. Now I won't even touch that. Like my weak spot will be kind of chips or something like that, which I know is not good, but I won't even crave the stuff that I literally spent 25 years exercising so I could and it's my whole, I wasn't able to remove my sugar cravings. Like I would be like, like, okay, like let's get to 7 days with no sugar. So I changed my diet. I got off my prescription meds, I removed my cravings, and now then I started fasting more, like in the morning, skipping breakfast, and my whole life was changed. So my mission was, I'm a brand builder. Why don't I just launch a brand? So instead of, writing another book, like all the doctors were writing books, I'm going to do a brand and get a wall with a brand name that says Good Fats. That's my contribution to, hopefully reverse diabetes, or be playing a key role in reducing sugar that will at least slow down the rapid progression of childhood diabetes, adult diabetes, and all the other metabolic diseases. So that's I was a bit blind. I took all my savings and I just kind of said, okay, I'll start with UNFI and Whole Foods. And I had to figure that out. And I had to figure out QuickBooks, and I had to figure out how to upload packaging by myself. And I had figure out everything. I couldn't even make payments because I'd never had a commercial bank account. There's all these different rules. So I figured that out from the dining room table. The first year and a half I was by myself, and then hired 2 kind of more senior guys in May. So I launched in September, and then had and then a marketing coordinator. So now we were a little team of 4. So I did the lonesome journey, and then a team of 4. And by then we were like 100,000 a month. The lonesome journey is really tough. I'm in a second startup now, so I'm, small, like we're not hiring a whole bunch of big people. It's, 3 of us, and we're all in different countries, full time. And then you get a lot of help from your partners, but you don't have the luxury of hiring folks. But I'm reminded, I took that brand to $1 million cumulative by myself with my 30 contacts, but I didn't have a team. We didn't have an office. I had the kitchen table. The brand scaled really, really quickly, 100,000 the first couple months, and then 8.2 million the first full year, and then 47 million the next year. We were across Canada, US. The year ended just as COVID. So COVID started in February. So that third full year, we got hit really hard with COVID because it's on the go portable bar. I'm just gonna I'll just get a bar in a sec. So on the go went down 40%. In some cases, it went down more than that because some retailers, cleared the front of their stores, clear store policies, selling masks instead of on the go bars. So, but the brand was so strong, and the product inside is a delicious, soft bar. And we are competing with bars that are they taste like sea dust and are not that tasting. So we're first to market with a different name, a different formula, a soft bar that's delicious in the fridge and the freezer also. And it changes, the fat obviously freezes and tastes different when it's melting in your mouth. So you kind of had nearly 3 products in one, depending where you saved it. And so it's crazy, everyone wanted the bar, and, many people eat 3-4 bars a day. So suddenly when they discovered our brand, I launched something that has a lot of repeat consumption. I stepped out of the CEO role, and, there's a lot of learnings and things that I would do differently. I stepped out, the VC said, hey, let's get a better CEO that will take us to 100 million and has US experience. And we wind up hiring, a gentleman that was Canadian and more of a sales guy, not a founder, not an entrepreneur, not connected, founder has, you live and breathe your consumers, you're at all the shows, I happen to memorize data. So, everything. So so we wind up having a couple of those gentlemen's kind of manage the brand since. I still involved, but it's not the same as to when you're the CEO. But at that time, it seemed like an okay decision. I think we all can kind of revisit that with 2020. But that opened the door for me to say, okay, well, what am I going to do full time now? Because there's, these guys that are cycling in, filling my shoes. And I happened, again, by serendipity, I happened to meet the owner of Bean to Bar chocolate factory in South America. And I didn't know too much about pure chocolate because my first brand just, chocolate is just one of the ingredients. The magic was around how to get the fat and no sugar to bind and make this incredible soft melt in your mouth experience. So I didn't become a chocolatier, but now I'm like, oh, wait a minute, right? Like I'm now spending months to figure out, wait a minute, like this is pure chocolate. And he had found like, pure chocolate with less sugar, or in this case, 0 grams of sugar and infused with vitamins. So then I was like, oh, wait a minute, like there's an idea there. He's a manufacturer, so he didn't have, my 30 years of marketing or my experience with Love Good Fats or brand building. But it gave me enough to say, okay, you know what? I had this CMO job that I was doing, and I took a big chance again. I resigned from my big CMO job, which I could have kind of stayed cushy and kind of do that for a little while. And I said, I'm going to go and become a founder again. So doing sales sheets, doing PowerPoints, raising money, doing formulas, proof checking that all the ingredients are in the right place. And basically, filling all the forms for UNFI and KE and purity and the whole, and presenting and the whole drill. So so that was a kind of a big step. I knew I was onto something really big, and I had, again, luck at my side because the Canadian government decided in the end of 2022, just when I was launching in 2023, decided to change the regulations for food and allow finally that you can add fortification to food. You're finally allowed to put vitamins. Before that, you had like an old grandfathered system, and you could do meal replacements, and you had to file all this criteria, and that's why that none of them tasted that good. Now the door was open, like in the US, you can fortify foods. Sure, you have to make declarations. You can't eat all that much in a day, and you have to, because if all the foods we're consuming are all fortified, then suddenly you're going to be having a lot of, different things in your foods that we're trying to replace, right? Because our foods have been stripped from their nutrients. So Health Canada launched, it's called supplemented foods. I'll just show you this right now, because it's a big part of the big idea, and it's supplemented foods.
I see that very clearly.
Yeah, it's totally different, right? You can have
It's on the back of the label of the
it's on the
product.
back, but instead of just, nutrition facts that you get with food, now you have supplemented food facts. So brand new. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm launching a brand of vitamins in a chocolate form, but now I can do a snack with vitamins in it. So I can do both. So I started working with the team and R&D and scientists and formulators to have like the 10 SKUs, 5 snacks that are sold now, and we're in a whole bunch of stores, or Costco.ca is the best place to find us. We'll be on Amazon soon, and our website, obviously. And then we're waiting a few more moments for the Canadian government to give us our NPNs for the vitamins. So this is, instead of gummy bears, which you can have one little delicious chocolate, and it replaces 6 to 18 gummy bears because they're super formulated. And there's
So
ashwagandha.
question,
Yep.
does that break your fast? Because I'm like you.
Yes, because there's MCT oil, and it's 40 calories. Cacao, it's 40 calories. So if you're fasting, a bulletproof coffee breaks your fast, although that might be debatable, but the coconut oil breaks your fast in that quantity. So for sure, if you have your little chocolate, but there's no need to break your fast with like a chocolate. Just wait till whenever you break your fast. what we learned a lot with Love Good Fats is many people would break their fast with half a bar, because it's a really nice way to reintroduce to your body. Both products are very, very good for sensitive diets. I have IBS. The products are all gluten-free and formulated with nearly no sugar. And if you have an extra sensitive diet, like we stopped counting. We at Love Good Fats, we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of commentary of the most like intense health issues on the GI side. And they'd say, I can't eat blah, 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 but I can have your bars. Or like, okay, enjoy them, because the whole idea is you feel full longer. There's no crap in any of this stuff. So I'm proud that Love Good Fats is on hundreds or thousands of stores across Canada, and is, a legacy. And now I'm spending all my time on basically bye-bye gummies. As soon as Health Canada gives us our numbers, which are moments away, we can start getting everyone to have pure chocolate infused with vitamins instead of sugar gummies, and our delicious snacks that are already across Canada.
Incredible. Like, Suzie, a couple things. Number one, I think you forgot about the success of really the founder's story is really, sorry, the founder, you being the founder is the story.
Yep.
Like, you were able to see this vision so clearly. And I can't even, like, I'm getting goosebumps actually listening to you, because I know that when you've been seeing it being done so many times, you're like, I can do it. I can't even imagine how quickly you're like, let's work 20 hours a day just to make this happen.
Yep.
But you've actually, the success of the company really, and the like the rocket growth that you had with Love Good Fats, I'm going to say that's you.
Well,
That's you. That's your energy. That's
yeah.
how much you're putting into it. But you also, at a time, and I think it was during the pandemic, and our last conversation, is you were doing it and you were tying it with a purpose as well. So you were actually giving a voice to those without a voice. So maybe you can tell our audience how you tapped into that, where it was a brand with a purpose right from the beginning.
When both brands, it's Suzie's on a mission. So it's kind of like, oh my God. The first brand, I was pissed, right? We were all misinformed. I was 20 years on a low-fat diet. I was upset. And I was like, somebody's going to read Nina's book, and another marketer is going to look across North America and say it has to change. UK was ahead of us in South Africa because they had Banting from Dr. Banting, Professor Banting. So they were already realizing that a high-fat diet was healthier. Tour de France, Ironman were all many athletes were moving to high-fat ketogenic diets for performance and for health, but nobody was doing anything in North America. So I saw it. I read the book, and I'm like, I connected all the dots. I was also, a VP of marketing for nearly 10 years in 2 weight loss companies, right? So I kind of knew how big trends, if they work, and of course, if you go on a keto diet, if you are in ketosis, you lose weight. Not as much as Ozempic now, because that's insane what can happen there, but people were losing weight with gluten-free, they were losing weight by cutting carbs, they were losing weight with more protein. So imagine when you got into ketosis, or I was more low carb. I never got too much into ketosis myself. I was missing that last bit of discipline. It worked. Like, you felt different. Like, when I was finally able to cut sugar and I got off my 2 prescription meds, I'm like, oh my God, this is heaven. And now I'm on a mission that, again, last week, the biggest chocolate companies in the world, the headline is their name and child labor in the same headline. So I, was just busy, kind of doing my thing. And yes, there's the planet, but I'm focused on my belly, and I want healthy things to eat for my belly because I'm in my 40s and I'm crushed. Now I'm like, wait, I'm in my 50s and we still have a lot to do with chocolate, both bringing bean to bar. So bean, this is our logo for bean to bar. Hopefully, you know, more brands can adopt the same logo. Bean to bar means that it's like craft beers, right? Like the ingredients are right, enter into the little craft factory. There's no processing, no alkali, it's just conching, which, you know, 30 hours of just gently conching the chocolate and then tempering in the pipes and then deposited. That's it. That's it. The magic is in the ingredients. So first, you don't need evil sugar, even though to be a chocolate, you're supposed to have evil sugar, which is another battle I'm going to pick. No, you can have natural sweeteners. You don't need to add artificial or natural flavors, which all the chocolate company add, because the cacao beans all taste different. And well, no, if you do bean to bar and you buy single source and you buy the beans from South America, which Belgium and Switzerland all buys from, and then they say Belgium chocolate, but go to the source, the cacao bean grows, and then it's fermented and air dried. It has tons of flavor, and you can see some of the videos where you just taste the cacao bean. Don't process it with alkali, what most chocolate is. You have cacao beans has one of the highest percentage of antioxidants of any foods out there, higher than acai berry. But what was happening is you're processing the heck out of it. So in the end, no one's eating chocolate for the antioxidants. Well, now you can, because you're not like we're enabling 4 to 5 times higher in antioxidants. We're not putting the bad sugar, and we're putting good fats, MCT oil, which is linked to all the, you know, Alzheimer's research and stuff. So, but nobody's done this before. Like, so I hear the word chocolate and I feel guilty. Oh, you know, I'm going to cheat and have chocolate. Well, no, like it should be like, I'm going to have protein, right? Like,
I'm going to have vitamins. I'm
yeah,
going to have protein. I'm
exactly.
going to add that into my
So
diet.
yeah, so I don't know how long it's going to take me to shift, but my mission is to change the perception of the word chocolate. So when you hear chocolate, you actually think that's good for me, instead of now when we hear chocolate, we kind of, you know, giggle and know and feel guilty and know that it's a little treat. It doesn't need to be a bad treat. It can be a healthy source of fuel and vitamins and nutrients that we need without the processing. And we do right by the farmers and by the planet with bean to bar. You know, don't go buy this stuff from Africa, beans processed in plants and I don't know where and then shipped over. Just have nice, you know, nice little craft factories that make it, and then we just put it on a container and then it arrives 10 days later, and it's pretty yummy.
So I want to say, you know, part of the whole thing was interviewing the women of inspiration. Where are you now? Because since you've won the award, you know, automatically think you take that award and life is great and you just stop. But it's actually fuel for your fire that you can now actually, you've got proven success. You know, there's a level of confidence that you can't get anywhere from somebody saying, I see you, I hear you, I love what you're doing. And now that's actually fueling that next opportunity that you're like, you know what, I did it once before, I'm going to do it again. But what I find so interesting is that the women of inspiration that I've interviewed, they don't ever stop. There's never, we're done here. Like you said, you thought maybe you could go back to a CMO role. But when it's in you that you've got a bigger purpose out there, you continue to go after that purpose. And that's what I love about it. So I guess my question to you, number one, do you ever have a bad day? Because every time I've
I was
every,
gonna
every
say,
time I've interviewed you or seen you, you are you have so much
yeah.
energy.
Oh
It must be
no,
all those good vitamins and
startups,
the chocolate.
a
But
lot of bad days, right? We're trying to raise money. It's the worst times ever. I launch a brand in probably the worst year ever in the last, like, I don't know, 50 years. Like times are really, really tough for startups. It 2023 was tough, and all you hear is 2024 will be worse.
Oh,
So
please don't
it's
say that.
really,
No, no, no.
I
We can't,
know, but
we can't say that.
it's really, really hard. Like there's no question. And, I just was on a call with someone who plays a bit of a mentor coach, and exactly what I needed. Like it's really, like it can be really hard. Like literally, my brother's a plumber, and I love him. I talk to him every morning at 5. We both get up really early, and then we hop on a call together once we're like, he's driving and I have my first coffee. And some days I'm like, darn it, like why can I not just have a job where you go do your job, and your job is not to open up your email and to find out that you have 5 new problems. Like that's what's happening in the first 2 years, right? Like, oh, surprise this, surprise that, surprise that. It is hard. And some days I'm like, oh man, like I'm human. I'm like, I'm too old for this, or whatever the right expression is these days. Like it's hard. But one of the things I learned that I didn't learn in my 20 years, like that much, what I learned with Love Good Fats is there's a cycle of regenerative energy. So I was getting energy by presenting the brand and having all these people say, how can I help you? How can I support you? And they were supporting in a whole bunch of different ways. That gave me energy. And it really is, when you think about what's fueling me and many entrepreneurs, you need that fuel. So yes, you exercise, and now I'm doing yoga every day and walking my dogs, and yes, you need to eat well. Yes, you need to have positive mantras, blah, blah. But that fuel is really important. So all of these awards I got, it's a springboard. You're having a bad day and it's like, wait a minute, you're being recognized, and then you make connections and you make more connections. So the gift of that regenerative is incredible. I need it now. I'm reaching out, like, help me here, help me there. People are then introducing me, and it really is giving back. I started a little group, Founders Helping Founders, so it's very, just organic. We're 120 of us on WhatsApp, and we have monthly meetings, and that whole wheel is working for all of us. And it's, everything from basics, how do you fill out this form, where do you get this help, but we need it. We're not superhumans. Like we're trying to solve problems. We have, big bad CPG companies.
Yeah.
Like at first they want to crush you, and then they want to buy you. Right? Like it's a game. It's a share war out there. I did it for 20 years. You want to win market share to your competitors, but they have the big gorillas and we're the little startups. So you wake up to that every morning. Like, okay, like I don't have the scale and the funds of the big gorillas. How am I going to pay my bills? Right? Like cash flow for the next, for every founder is, even the $10 million brands now are having cash flow issues. So you're like, oh my goodness, right? And you need cash to grow. You need a great idea, but the great idea is going to die on the vine. So I think about that regenerative, that these awards and this support and the networking has fueled me. I give back out and I get back, and I out and back and out and back. It's the secret ingredient. Without it, I don't think founders can do anywhere close to as well, because you have more bad days than good days. And even if you have awesome Love Good Fats, we had 2 years of every day was a phenomenal day because nothing was going wrong. Like it was just like good news after good news. When you sell 47 million and you don't short ship anybody, like, we were just like, okay, we got to get the margin improved, but back then it was less of a focus. Now, of course, no one is launching a brand if you don't have the good margins. But you need the fuel. So that's kind of how things are going. I try to be smiley Susie and remind myself about all the good things. But it's tough. And podcasts like this, awards, evenings, like they really, I give, but I get a lot out, and I'll be inspired for the weekend now. So I got my dose.
Well, this is, I think I wore this shirt for this call.
Yep.
and this was like a clear description. So I'm wearing the hype shirt, and I thought, you
Yep.
know what? Honestly, this is what we need to do. We need to hype each other up.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
I sometimes fantasize about being a Walmart greeter,
Yep.
or just helping people pick out stuff for their home at HomeSense. Because
Yep.
being a founder and being a women-owned business is really, really challenging. And like you
Yep.
said, you open up that email and you're like, okay, what's coming at me today?
Yep.
And
Goodness.
so
Yep.
we do need those people around that believe in your vision, that
Yep.
they're there to help and support. And that circle of reciprocity, I call it the circle of
Yep.
reciprocity, is so, so important. And I know that we're going to be heading out of the gate, and we're going to be like going, woman of inspiration, let's hype each other up. Like,
Yep.
let's
Yep.
continue to pave the way. It's so important for women to be celebrated. Suzie, do you agree?
Oh, it's incredible. And it makes a huge difference. And even if I look at the last 12 months, I have several people that in their ways have found ways, how can I help you? I wouldn't be here with the brand right now had I can point to each of them. So it's a celebration, awareness, help, and a lot of people can help. And often even the smallest things, buy our products.
Share the
Oh my
post,
goodness. Yeah. Like it's incredible.
comment,
Yep.
share, repost, like repost this video.
Yeah, exactly.
How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
Repost
Yeah.
this video to your
Yeah.
networks,
Yep.
and, really share. I think we need to talk more about that. And another, I know that we were talking about this in the groom room, is about how inviting the other half of the population to the conversation, which are our support hers, the allies, and the top companies that are committed to actually success. And, there can be healthy competition
Yep.
out there as well
Yep.
in the, you know, even in the CPG industry, there's
Yeah.
healthy
Oh yeah.
competition.
We're all friends.
We're all friends.
We're all friends. Yeah.
But I think that's how we're going to move the needle, is by
Yep.
having all hands on deck and really moving towards that place where we can all succeed. So I am so inspired every time I talk to you, Suzie. Like, honestly, it like you do a full day's work and then you go out and ride that bike for another 20 miles. And I watch you and I follow you on TikTok, and I see your posts on LinkedIn all the time. And I'm like I really bow down to you, because I literally, you've got an internal engine that is always running, and that's why I
Well,
said you have no bad days.
I'm fueled with good stuff now. I was fueled with garbage for 20 years, but not knowingly, right? I was trying to be good, but feeding my body with crap because I was withholding fats and so I'm very, very pleased. I know our chat comes to an end. I'm very, very appreciative of the support. You're one of the earliest awards I got, my biggest supporters. You've recognized me several times. You've profiled me in your book. So a big, big warm thank you to you. And however I can keep on helping you so we can grow together. I'm one text away, as you know.
I know. And I really appreciate that, Suzie. And I've been there since the very beginning of Love Good Fats and cheering you on and being
Yep.
your, hype girl.
Yep.
So anyways, I wish you much success. And for those that are listening, how can they learn more about you, learn more about all these great things that you're doing in your brand, and kind of give you some love at Costco as well?
Yep. Well, Costco.ca 4X Better Chocolates. Our brand name is 4X, 4 times Better Chocolate. But if you just type in Better Chocolate, you'll find our website, thebetterchocolates.ca or .com. The vitamins are coming in Canada, but you can buy them in the US. So just cross the border. Costco.ca. And then we're in 400 stores, most natural health food stores. And if we're not in your store, just ask the manager. They'll bring us in. We're with Unify and Purity across the country. So we're with the 2 largest distributors. Help us get into 5,000 stores by just asking your store manager. And then give us feedback, interact with us. I answer nearly every DM still. So just tell us, I had someone today say they suggested some innovation that they want for us. So I won't disclose it here, but guess what? I went to my co-man and said, hey, can we do this? Of course we can do this. So, keep it flowing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And so, Suzie, I'm going to say this again for those that are listening. It was so great for you to share your wisdom and your story, because every time it's a little bit like your story, has so many different levels to it,
Yep,
Suzie. And I look forward to actually the next time that we talk about it.
yep,
And because I know that you're going to be on to doing something amazing again. But
yep.
I just want to thank you for your time and your energy and your authenticity and transparency, because I think that is so needed nowadays. It's not all rainbows and unicorns,
Oh,
and
no.
we need all the
Perfect.
support to get through those days to get us through to the other side. So if you are listening and absolutely love this podcast, you know where to find Suzie. Please share it widely. That is exactly how you can help and support in just the tip of the iceberg. So thank you,
Perfect.
Suzie, for joining us, and I look forward to our next conversation and seeing you in the room.
Perfect. Thanks.
Have a great day, Suzie. Take care.
Thanks. Let me know when